Coming up, a look at how the CTA's recent budget could cause problems for public transportation users.
Plus the movements of ICE around the Chicago area.
All of that and more on Rambler Roundup.
Hello everyone and welcome to Rambler Roundup. I'm Taylor Davis.
And I'm Layla Lee.
We're now on day 28 as the government shutdown remains in effect. The ongoing shutdown has caused major disruptions, leaving many federal workers without pay and creating delays in several government services. On top of that, food stamp benefits, also known as SNAP, will not be replenished on November 1st if the shutdown continues. This could impact 40 million people who rely on government assistance for their groceries each month. And with missed paychecks piling up, more federal workers are now turning to food banks just to get by. The shutdown is also affecting airports, with TSA and traffic air control staff shortages leading to longer lines and flight delays. Some workers have either stopped coming to work completely or have been furloughed.
The CTA's budget is facing a major shortfall, and riders could soon feel the impact. Regional transit agencies say there's still a $200 million gap to fill. If the CTA doesn't receive new funding, there could be major service cuts, as much as 40%. The budget trouble started after the pandemic. Federal COVID relief money that once helped cover costs has now run out, and ridership still hasn't bounced back to pre-pandemic levels. Without new funding from the state, the CTA is planning a fare increase. The base fare for buses and trains will go up by 25 cents, the first increase since 2018. Riders can expect these changes next year, starting February 1st. As the CTA faces financial strain, another issue is putting added pressure on Chicago. Since September 9th, the Department of Homeland Security has been cracking down on immigration enforcement in Chicago. Reporter Natalie King joins us now. Natalie, how has Loyola's community been affected by this ICE activity?
Yes, Layla, in the last few weeks, ICE activity has been increasing in the areas surrounding Loyola's Lakeshore campus. I talked to members of the Loyola and Rogers Park communities to see how people have been coming together for their neighbors. It appears to be a fall semester like any other at Loyola, but there is a growing sense of tension and anxiety on campus as immigration enforcement activity has increased in the surrounding communities. Since Operation Midway Blitz began in September, federal agents have been carrying out immigration raids throughout the Chicago area. At first, the operation focused mainly on the city's south and west sides, but it has been moving closer to home for Loyola students in recent weeks. Earlier this month, anonymous users on the social app Fizz reported federal agent sightings behind Bellarmine Residence Hall. And just last week, ICE agents were spotted driving blocks away from campus. Loyola faculty like theater professor Carrie Harden are urging the school to step in and protect campus.
This is a campus safety issue, and it should be treated as one. And I think without, a fear of stepping on toes, I know things are very dicey in higher education at the moment and not wanting to bring more attention to yourself, but this is part of our Ignatian values.
Loyola students have also been taking action to help their community. The school newspaper, The Phoenix, recently created an ICE tracker for sightings of federal agents around campus. Organizations like Protect Rogers Park, a group that coordinates ICE watches and hosts Know Your Rights trainings, also welcome student involvement.
Introduce yourself. Say, I'm a neighbor. I'm concerned. Is there a sign up I can be a part of? Is there a training? Is there an email I should be sending? Because everybody has a different way of approaching this. And right now, there's power in that division almost of making it so piecemeal that it's hard to track.
In the midst of increasing ICE activity in the Rogers Park area, the Office of Alderwoman Maria Haddon has been doing hands-on work to provide resources for the community. I spoke to the 49th Ward Director for more information.
Our ward is a very diverse ward, as I'm sure you can imagine, and in fact it's probably the most diverse ward in the city. Therefore, we have a lot of people whom ICE is targeting, where they're coming in, they're trying to do it when we least expect it and very unpredictable.
Alderwoman Haddon's office has been doing hands-on work with community members and activist groups, including helping children get to school safely and tracking ICE activity. The 49th Ward Instagram account is also utilized to keep the neighborhood informed of agent sightings and volunteer opportunities. And while this is a tense time for Rogers Park, community members have also come together to support their neighbors like never before.
I believe that what they don't know is the very active constituent base and community that we do have here. I'm starting to see a lot of partnership in people sharing information that typically they will keep to themselves.
With no clear end in sight to Operation Midway Blitz, this collective effort throughout Rogers Park, Edgewater, and Loyola's campus is sure to continue.
The Office of the 49th Ward has been supporting community initiatives to protect Rogers Park. Ward Director Shanika Hohenkirk is here to tell us more about the work the office has been doing.
Shanika, welcome. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. So we'll just get right into it.
So, what guidance has the 49th Ward to residents concerned about the reported ICE activity?
One of the things that we are doing is working with our local groups and organizers in the community, such as Rad Rogers and Protect Rogers Park. They have been doing on-the-ground training. They have also been providing us with resources, connecting us to other organizations that's doing trainings. One thing that the Alderwoman and myself and staff have been doing is being a part of those trainings, understanding what our rights are, making sure that we have the resources to pass out to constituents as we're getting those emails and phone calls, and of course walk-ins. We also have Protect Chicago signs. We have whistles and pamphlets that's explaining what your rights are, what you can and cannot do. And then we also have signage for businesses as well to make sure that they're safe, as well as our schools and pretty much everyone else in the community. We've been guiding people and assuring them of what they can and cannot do, making sure that they have the same resources, contacting the appropriate offices if it's beyond our help and support. And then on top of that, we've also been making sure to monitor what's happening as we're getting phone calls about detainment or anything. We track that. We make sure that Alderwoman Haddon is aware, and she works with her on-the-ground people to ensure that we can help in whatever capacity that we can.
Absolutely.
That's great. I think that's very helpful. A lot of people don't know their rights, so I think that giving out pamphlets helps people a lot, just to know their rights in case anything happens with ICE.
Absolutely.
What do you think is the most efficient method that your office has been doing to look out for the residents of Rogers Park?
Great question. I definitely feel that it's the connection, like as soon as we're hearing what's happening on the ground, whether that is through the organizers who've been telling us directly, or whether that's constituents who will call us, because we don't always get to know what's happening before it happens. We know as it's happening or a little after, then we'll get a phone call, then we'll get some type of information. However, a lot of my staff, as well as the Alderwoman, is tied into those type of groups through chat chains. And so as things are coming up, we're probably getting the information much faster than before when things first started and kicked off for us. So that has been very effective for us. And then just making sure that whatever updated resources that's out there regarding ICE and what your rights are, that we get those as soon as possible, familiarize ourselves with it, and then go from there.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.
And we appreciate you.
I think we have time for one more. So why don't, one last thing for Loyola Newscast. What can Loyola students do to help their community during this time?
Great. I think that getting involved with the local community members, getting involved in whatever may be going on in campus, knowing your rights as well, and being advocates is the best way to help support constituents and knowing what's happening around. Even if it means stopping by and talking to some of your classmates who may be directly impacted, or maybe they're doing some on-the-ground work too. If students haven't done so already, maybe correlating and coming up with their own groups that can be okay for campus to say, hey, we're going to do some ICE watching between classes, or however you want to do it, safely of course, but at the same time aware, and that organizations can come to you all for whatever need and support that you're having. Our high schoolers are doing it, so I know that it's possible to be done, and we just got to make sure that everyone is coming together to do so.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Shanika.
Thank you so
Thank you
much
for having me. All right.
When we come back, federal funding cuts by Trump.
And a look at the 15th Annual Open House Chicago.
Netflix and chill. Don't let your Netflix and chill become Netflix and spill.
Idiot.
Be smart.
Welcome back to Rambler Roundup.
President Trump is making cuts to federal funding for medical research, and it's raising a lot of concerns. Scientists worry this move could slow down progress in studying diseases and developing new cures, raising questions about the future of medical innovation. Anushka has more on this story.
Inside Loyola's neuroscience and public health labs, students like Kristen Jacob and Asta Nirmal spend hours studying how the brain develops and how addiction affects communities across the country. But with the Trump administration's federal cuts to medical research funding, many fear that the progress that they have made could soon be lost.
I'm a part of a neuroscience research lab where we study cognitive and behavioral development in infants. So essentially, we collect a whole bunch of infants from 0 to 3 years old. We study their EEG development, and we see how they process learning new things, how they memorize different faces, things like that. It's essentially understanding how they're able to develop through their early years.
Kristen says that even though her lab is funded through Loyola, they depend on external grants to survive. Losing federal support could mean fewer opportunities to study how early learning shapes a child's future.
So having these funding cuts has really large detriments because we then won't be able to proceed into fixing the future or fixing problems that we have right now.
In another lab on campus, Asta's team studies opioid addiction and overdose patterns across U.S. regions. Their work helps public health officials decide where to send resources, but without federal backing, much of that data collection has come to a halt.
Some of our team members were supposed to go to Micronesia to talk about the issues that we're facing, but because of cuts to the lab, we might not be able to, and this can further lead to people in Micronesia and just other areas of our territories not getting the resources that they need because nobody is advocating for them. So when you lose research, you lose people advocating for your healthcare.
Both researchers say that the cuts go beyond numbers on a page. They represent a loss of innovation, safety, and progress in medical science.
I wish that there was more faith in what research is. I feel like people just assume it's a bunch of scientists sitting in a lab, but I wish that our policymakers saw that everyone's goal behind doing some form of research is making other people's lives better, and we're trying to work with them to make other people's lives better. But if you don't support us to do that, we can't help you, and we can't help everybody else.
At universities and hospitals across the nation, students and faculty say they'll continue their research, but without strong federal investment, the pace of discovery could slow for years to come, which can seriously impact the future of medicine. For Ramble Roundup, I'm Anushka Nair.
One of Loyola's oldest dormitories, Campion Hall, is being demolished and making way for a new 6-story academic building for the university's chemistry, forensic sciences, and nursing programs. Originally built in the 1950s, Campion Hall was the oldest resident hall on the Lakeshore campus and has served generations of students. The Chicago Plan Commission recently approved Loyola's application for the project, and the demolition itself received a permit from the City of Chicago in October for $65,100, and Loyola plans to open the new building by fall of 2028.
Chicago is full of amazing buildings, but many of them are places we never get to go inside. Last weekend, the Chicago Architecture Center opened doors across the city for its 15th annual Open House Chicago. Reporter Lauren Taylor shows us one stop close to the Loyola community.
This past weekend, the Chicago Architecture Center invited people to explore the city from a new vantage point. Open House Chicago is a free event that lets visitors go inside historic and modern buildings across 25 neighborhoods. This year, the event took place on October 18th and 19th and featured 30 new sites. From downtown skyscrapers to small museums and schools, the festival brings together more than 35,000 people who love design and discovery. During the festival this past weekend, I went inside one of Loyola's own buildings featured on this year's tour. I'm standing outside the historic Mundelein Center at Loyola University Chicago's Lakeshore campus. This building houses the university's Department of Fine and Performing Arts and is one of over 200 stops on Open House Chicago's architecture tour.
So we are standing inside of an Art Deco skyscraper. The first day of construction was mere days after the stock market crash. So despite the inauspicious beginning, this building was meant to be the all-in-one, all-inclusive women's college.
Inside, guests can see intricate Art Deco details and learn about how Mundelein became part of Loyola in 1991, continuing its mission to support women's education.
Well, the elevator doors are fantastic. Reminded me a little of the elevator doors on the Chrysler building in Manhattan. Oh, that exterior, those two statues, Bruce?
Yeah, those are pretty sort of creepy, maybe.
What do you think when you walk in and look at those things?
From Loyola's Lakeshore to neighborhoods across the city, Open House Chicago gives everyone a chance to see the city in a whole new way. For more information on next year's event, visit openhousechicago.org or download the Chicago Architecture Center app. Lauren Taylor with Loyola News Chicago.
The entrance to Chicago's Rogers Park neighborhood is getting a fresh new look with a new garden underway. Loyola University Chicago is working with the city to revamp the space with native plants and a bee hotel. Experts say this initiative will create a healthier ecosystem, attract more pollinators to the area, and add natural beauty to the neighborhood. Residents can expect to see the completed garden by November.
Still to come, a remembering of an iconic figure at Loyola University Chicago.
And a look at the surprising starts of the Bulls and Blackhawks.
The mission of Aaron's Farm is to rescue animals and educate through their stories. Now, we want to reach as many kids as we can through the animal stories, through their friendships, to show that they're like us. Back to when I was a kid, I was obsessed with animals and would have died to be taken to a show like this.
Take a look at him. First of all, you'll notice that he's got sharp claws because he's climbing up on me and they're so sharp.
I think this farm is different from other educational farms or places around because we're not like a petting zoo. It's a hands-on science class, which you're not getting in a petting zoo type environment.
There's a lot of cool animals and I like help animals.
I just think it's good that, first of all, animals that were in less than fair conditions have a place to come and live out the rest of their lives, and then you allow people, kids even, to come hang out with the animals.
Yeah.
They're also friendly, so it's very therapeutic in a sense as well.
When I see children come with dreams of being a marine biologist or a veterinarian or something like that, it's just, it lights the fire in me to keep going, because my dream was to work with children and animals, and I was able to make that dream come true, and I want that for all these kids. I want their dreams to come true too.
Aaron's Farm. Rescue, sanctuary, advocacy. To find out more about Aaron's Farm and how to schedule a visit, go to aaronsfarm.net or connect on Facebook at Aaron's Farm.
Welcome back to the Rambler Roundup.
On October 9th, at 106 years old, Sister Jean, the longtime chaplain and beloved figure of the Loyola community, passed away. For more than 6 decades, Sister Jean served Loyola with faith and devotion, first as an educator and later as a spiritual leader for the men's basketball team. She captured national attention in 2018 when the Loyola Ramblers made their run to the Final Four. At 98, Sister Jean was courtside, cheering on the team and becoming a symbol of hope and team spirit. Her funeral took place on campus in the Madonna della Strada Chapel, where the Chicago community came together to celebrate her life. Sister Jean leaves behind a legacy of faith and compassion and pride, one that will continue to inspire Loyola students and fans for generations to come.
Moving into sports, the Blackhawks are at home tonight hosting the Ottawa Senators. Puck drop at 7:45. The Hawks are looking to bounce back after a tough loss to the Los Angeles Kings on Sunday. With the winning record, they have impressed early on, exceeding expectations with the strong start of the season. Following their game tonight, they will head out a 6-game West Coast road trip. The Bulls have the night off before returning home tomorrow to face the Sacramento Kings at 7. Chicago made it 3 straight wins with last night's 128-123 victory over the Atlanta Hawks, improving to a perfect 3-0 start to open the season. They've done it all without Kobe White, who's yet to make his season debut. It's one of the Bulls' hottest starts in recent years. The Bears are regrouping after Sunday's loss to the Baltimore Ravens. They'll look to get back on track this weekend in a Week 9 noon kickoff against the Cincinnati Bengals. And looking to the World Series, Game 3 was last night in Los Angeles, where the Dodgers took care of business, beating the Toronto Blue Jays in the 18th inning 6-5 on a walk-off. Home run from Freddie Freeman, the Dodgers now lead the series 2-1. Game 4 is set for tonight, first pitch at 7, as LA looks to move 1 win away from another championship. And that wraps up the edition of Rambler Roundup.
That's all from us. We'll see you back here next time. To stay up to date with us, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel at Rambler Roundup.